around us which have come true because Iowa's engineers are committed to excellence. It's a time to remember engineers for helping us claim our dreams, for turning ideas into reality.
This morning in Moscow, one long-awaited homecoming.
Oliver North won't talk, but his secretary will. And Donald Regan reported ready to resign.
A Holocaust survivor and an alleged Nazi guard face-to-face in court.
And Andy Warhol, his life, his art.
This is the CBS Morning News. Good morning. I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. It's Monday, February 23rd.
Leading the news this morning, Yseph Beun is home in Moscow, free after 4 years in a KGB jail cell. The Jewish dissident was greeted as a hero by family and friends, and he immediately vowed to do all he can to see that all fellow Jewish dissidents are also released. Wyatt Andrews has the story from Moscow.
Beun returned to an emotional welcome, riding the shoulders of scores of Jewish activists who greeted him with flowers and choruses of songs in Hebrew. Beun spoke as a man unbowed by his 4 years behind bars, a man more determined to fight for Jewish rights.
I am going to continue my activity for rights of my people in this country, in all the world, for rights Soviet people to be in Israel with our people on our homeland.
Beun says flatly he signed no document that would bind him not to break any Soviet laws in the future. From Begun's point of view, he was never a criminal to begin with. Those who greeted Beun called his freedom encouraging. To Soviet Jews, Beun, the former Hebrew teacher, is a hero.
It's just a miracle for everybody because Beun is a symbol of Jewish community and a symbol of Jewishness for us.
Beun repeatedly said he hopes his freedom is a sign that democratization is working. By publicly announcing his plans to work for all political prisoners and to promote Jewish culture, Beun may be testing democracy's limit. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Moscow.
A sensational criminal trial opened in Paris this morning with security tight not only at the court building but throughout the city. Lebanese terrorist leader Georges Abdala is charged with ordering the assassinations of American and Israeli diplomats. The trial comes 48 hours after the arrest of 4 suspected members of the French terrorist group Direct Action. Included are the 2 leaders, Jean-Marc Beun and Nathalie Ménigan. Direct Action had threatened the lives of judges in today's Abdala trial.
At the White House this morning, officials are bracing for some damaging headlines ahead. Chief of Staff Donald Regan is said to be on the verge of leaving. The Tower Commission issues its report on Thursday, and a former secretary will testify about the shredding of evidence. We have more from Jacqueline Adams.
Thank you all, and God bless you all.
After toasting the nation's governors last night, President Reagan told reporters that he was not involved in a cover-up of the Iran-Contra affair. But the president said he would not comment on any other aspect of the scandal, including the fate of his embattled Chief of Staff Donald Regan, until after the Tower Commission report comes out this Thursday. The First Lady's feud with Regan continued last night. Asked if she'd resumed speaking to the Chief of Staff, Mrs. Reagan smiled and said pointedly, no comment. Even Regan's admirers believe it's time for him to resign.
I think Don, for his own good, and really most of all for the president's good, probably should leave the White House.
Administration officials predict that the Tower Commission report will be so critical of Regan's role in drafting a misleading chronology of the Iran affair, his position will be, quote, untenable. Though a number of replacements are being considered, sources say the president has not asked and Regan has not offered to resign. The Tower report is not the only administration headache. Oliver North's former secretary, Fawn Hall, in return for immunity from prosecution, has told independent counsel Lawrence Walsh that she and North shredded National Security Council documents and internal memos last November, just hours before Justice Department investigators were scheduled to see them. Hall called the shredding routine, but Walsh reportedly is looking at it as one piece of a possible obstruction of justice. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, the White House.
There's a new report this morning tying Robert Gates to the Iran arms affair. Gates is the nominee to head the Central Intelligence Agency. The New York Times says that in 1985, Gates agreed to send the White House a memo favoring the sale of arms to Iran, even though the memo was at odds with a CIA analysis of the deal. The CBS News broadcast 60 Minutes has revealed a possible Israeli connection to the Contras. Documents show the Israelis shipped millions of dollars worth of Soviet-made weapons to Honduras, even though the Honduran army normally does not use such weapons. But the rebels in Nicaragua do, and it's reported those weapons went to the Contras. At the time, U.S. military aid to the rebels was against the law.
In West Beirut this morning, Faith, the warring militias have been quieted. Thousands of Syrian troops backed by tanks have dug in as peacekeepers. Their orders are shoot to kill any gunman still on the streets. Last week, street battles between Druze and Shiites claimed more than 300 lives. Safety is a top concern among air traffic controllers across the country who are trying to form a new labor union. They have many of the same complaints as before their union was put out of business. Robert Shackney reports they say one thing will be different.
In 1981, the government fired the air traffic controllers who went out on strike and broke their union. In 1987, a new generation of air controllers seems ready to form a new union. 6 years later, the issues have a familiar ring.
I mean, it's the same stuff that was a big issue in the strike back in '81. It hadn't changed. It's the same old stuff. It goes out. What do you do when you work in 20 airplanes? You lose your frequencies, you lose your radar. You know, it's not a fun experience.
The litany of complaints in 1987. Too few controllers working too many planes, too much overtime, too many near misses, antiquated equipment, and not enough training.
For 5.5 years, we have held out for better management policies. We've held out for newer equipment, and we haven't seen any of it materialize.
5,800, nearly half of the country's air traffic controllers, have signed petitions for the new controllers union. The strongest union sentiment has developed in centers where air traffic is the heaviest. According to the organizers, the reason is a Federal Aviation Administration that has not listened to the controllers' complaints.
They had an ability to keep an association or a union out after 1981, but they didn't do their work. They didn't do it properly. Controllers felt alienated, and they came to us.
The FAA says it does not object to dealing with the union if that's what the controllers want, but insists that the controllers' complaints have not been ignored.
All of the key issues, overtime, pay, stress, equipment, all of these issues we are very well aware of, and we continue to work with the air traffic control workforce to make improvements, and we think we are making improvements.
The test comes when the controllers formally vote on a union, probably in April or May. And should the union win, contentious times are likely. But the new union says that whatever happens, it will not repeat the mistakes of the old union. It will not strike. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
Other news in the economy, an old problem seems to have turned up again, and Ken Prewitt joins us with details. Good morning, Ken.
Morning, Forrest. There could be an energy crisis in the 1990s, according to an advisory board to the Secretary of Energy, and it could be worse than the one in the 1970s. The new study by the National Petroleum Council says within a few years, the OPEC members will have more control over the world oil market than they did in the 1970s, because the decline in oil prices recently has led non-OPEC producers, like American oil companies, to cut back on production and exploration. Some solutions recommended by the panel: open more federal land to exploration, revise tax laws to encourage the search for new oil, and slap a tariff on imported oil. In London this morning, gold is up 75 cents an ounce at $402.95. Silver is down 4 cents an ounce at $5.48. The American dollar is mixed today after the weekend agreement by the U.S. and 5 other industrial nations to stabilize the dollar. Robert Krulwich will have more on that in a few minutes. If the dollar does stabilize, it could prompt more foreign money to buy into the American stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average goes into a new week at 2235, just below last Thursday's record high of 52 points last week.
All right, thanks, Ken. Bad weather is making big news this morning across the nation's northeast. A small but strong winter storm is moving up the coast with a lot of snow. It should end by noon, but with heavy accumulation. Some 6 to 10 inches is expected from Washington to Baltimore. Heavy snow has downed power lines in Washington and is snarling car and train traffic. Amtrak service between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore has stopped. New York City should get 6 inches of snow, and accumulations will be greater in the higher elevations. CBS Morning News continues in a moment. It is now 9 minutes after the hour.
This
This is the TV8 Morning News, brought to you by Direct Delivery and Distribution. Here's Todd Magel.
Good morning. Clear skies and 22 degrees in Des Moines now. The Pista Derby station on Ingersoll in Des Moines has been robbed again. Police say a man walked into the station around 9 o'clock last night and demanded money. No one was hurt. The man is described as a white male, 140 to 150 pounds, with sandy brown hair and a beard. Police say this robbery does not appear to be connected with a series of Pista Derby robberies at stations in the past few months. The business of presidential campaigning is heating up in Iowa. This weekend, evangelist Pat Robertson and Republican Senator Bob Dole spent time meeting voters. And today, Missouri Congressman Richard Gephardt will officially announce his candidacy in St. Louis. Later this afternoon, Gephardt will arrive in Des Moines to announce his Iowa Campaign Steering Committee. Another Democrat, former Arizona Governor Bruce Babbitt, also begins a two-day visit in the state today. More than 200 people crowded into a meeting room near the Des Moines airport Sunday to question Republican Senator Bob Dole. Topics from the crowd range from Social Security to issues like the health of the farm credit system. Dole says town meetings like this one will become a regular part of his yet unannounced candidacy.
Well, what I've got to do is to just continue to work. I mean, that's why I'm here today. I mean, I have a job as Republican leader in the Senate, so I have to do my work on weekends. And when we have a little vacation, I head for Iowa, New Hampshire, or some other state. I also have a lot of people helping me in Iowa, and that's very important.
Dole will start an exploratory committee in early March to begin drumming up support for his campaign. He says he'll announce his candidacy sometime this fall. For the first time since the game's odds were increased 4 weeks ago, the Iowa lotto jackpot has gone unclaimed. But 78 people did match 5 numbers correctly to win $500 each. More than 2,000 matched 4 numbers, 22,000 matched 3 numbers for a free play. The jackpot will now grow from $260,000. Weather forecast is coming up next.
If you're a shipper or business owner, you know how important a long-distance delivery service can be. You need a carrier that's fast, economical, and dependable. That's what direct delivery and distribution is all about. It's the only delivery service in Des Moines that guarantees overnight delivery by truck to and from these Nebraska cities. There's no weight limit, and our prices are competitive or better than other carrier services. For guaranteed overnight delivery, call Direct Delivery and Distribution. Service is our guarantee.
Today's forecast calls for mostly sunny skies with a high in the mid-40s. Tonight, increasing cloudiness with a low in the 30s. Then Tuesday, cloudy skies and a 30% chance of rain or snow later in the day, a high in the upper 30s. Currently in Des Moines, clear skies, winds from the southeast at 2 miles per hour, 22 degrees in Des Moines. Next, news and weather is coming up in about 10 minutes.
Missouri Congressman Richard Gephardt will formally announce this morning that he is a candidate for the 1988 Democratic presidential nomination. He is the first Democrat to officially enter the race. Gephardt is a 6-term congressman and leads the Democratic caucus.
Leading industrial powers met in Paris over the weekend in a foreign exchange over currency issues that could cause a new round of inflation in America. Our economics correspondent Robert Krulwich followed the industrial leaders, and he's here now with the story. Bob, good morning.
Good morning. What happened yesterday is that the governments of 6 major countries finally got together after quarreling for months, and together they sent a message to the professional money traders, to the money market. The government said, we want dollars, marks, and yens to stay about where they are now, and we are prepared to buy and sell large sums of money to make sure we get our way. And now the question is, will the money traders sitting at their computers like these young men in London, trading with dealers in New York and Frankfurt and Hong Kong, will these fellows do what the governments want, or will they challenge the governments and bet against them? And if there's going to be a contest today, who is going to win? The professional money traders say that the U.S. economy has been slowing, the federal deficit's worse, the trade deficit is terrible, so they have been down on the dollar. Instead, they like German and Japanese money, more stable, so the yen and the mark are up. Yesterday in Paris, the Japanese minister was clearly unhappy. The high yen makes Japanese exports expensive and harder to sell. And the Germans were no happier. The high mark is hurting their exports too. The U.S. delegation is not unhappy, but it told the Germans and Japanese, we'll do something for you if you do something for us. So yesterday, the nations made each other some promises. The U.S. said, we promise to lower our federal deficit. Really? The Japanese said, we promise to buy more from the rest of the world. Really? And the Germans said, we promise to buy more as well. Really? And this morning, the money traders are saying, really? If money traders don't believe these promises, then yesterday's meeting will have little effect. The dollar will keep dropping, the yen rising, and those young guys we showed you before trading money, an awful lot of them 24, 25, 26 years old, they have much more money to bet than the governments. They control more money than the governments, about 10 times more in the markets. The governments are very small players, so we have a situation this morning where the boys have the power, not the governments. We're going to look and see what happens.
Ken just told us a few minutes ago that the dollar is mixed already. The markets are open. What does that mean in light of what happened yesterday?
Well, it means so far, we have two, London and Tokyo answering so far, the governments seem to have impressed the traders. This is the first time in years that the United States government has said, okay, the dollar's fallen enough. Later today, the news could change. If the dollar keeps dropping today and later on this month, we do run a risk of higher inflation in America. And if it keeps going, there's a chance eventually the Japanese will say the dollar's too low, yank their money from our stock and bond markets. That could mean even higher inflation. Wow. But we'll wait and see.
Okay. Thanks, Bob Krulwich.
All right. And coming up on the CBS Morning News, an accused Nazi guard on trial in Israel hears from a Holocaust victim. And we'll try to see the world as pop artist Andy Warhol did.
Shop the super sale at Menards and register free to win a 1987 Renault Alliance luxury sedan. Plus, you'll be floored by the savings on no-wax vinyl flooring. Dozens of patterns are on sale now, like this Armstrong Sundial Solarian. We bought truckloads of selected patterns, and they're on sale now for just $6.99 a square yard. For super savings and quality, shop Menards Super Sale.
We're helping you build America's heartland at Menards.
This week on Our Magazine.
I just knew that she was sick and something was wrong and I couldn't figure it out. He was very violent, verbally more so than physically.
70% of these children will either be addicted or develop other kinds of compulsive behaviors.
I just wanted to drink and just to get drunk and just to stop feeling.
Exploring the emotional trauma, growing up with alcoholic parents.
And I was a preteen bartender.
Our Magazine, afternoons at 3 on TV8.
Want to do something nice for someone? Give them a little bit of spring. Daffodils are the flower of hope. And when you buy daffodils from the American Cancer Society, you can share your optimism with your friends, as well as helping cancer research, education, and service programs. Order now through March 5th. And when your daffodils arrive, you can share a little bit of spring with your friends. Your old friends, your new friends, your old friends. You can even keep a few yourself.
A Nazi death camp survivor identified John Demjanjuk today as one of the guards who operated the gas chambers. Demjanjuk's war crimes trial began in Jerusalem last week, and as Bob Simon reports today, it got down to business.
Everything until today was prelude, questions of jurisdiction, expert witnesses, everything except the central question of the trial. Is John Demjanjuk, retired auto worker from Cleveland, Ivan the Terrible, the butcher of Treblinka? Today, the first survivor of the death camp, 61-year-old Pinchas Epstein. He was 17 at Treblinka. His job, carrying corpses to the mass graves.
And then we were told to open the doors, very wide doors, and remove the corpses. This Ivan came out of the engine room and would beat us mercilessly with his pipe. Sometimes he would have a sword and would crack skulls, would cut off ears.
There was not a sound from the spectators in the packed courthouse, not a sound until Epstein matter-of-factly pointed to the man across the room and said, "Yes, that's him sitting there." The courthouse erupted in applause. The judge called for silence, but Epstein was not to be silenced. The defense will argue that memory is an imprecise instrument with which to convict a man of a capital crime. The prosecution will rest its case on witnesses like Epstein who say it is not memory because it has never been forgotten, because Ivan the Terrible has not left his eyes, not for 1 minute, not one day, not one night, not for the last 44 years. Bob Simon, CBS News, Jerusalem.
Many state health officials say testing hospital patients and marriage license applicants for AIDS would be a waste of time and effort, that it would fail to track the epidemic while driving people away. The federal proposal will be debated at a conference tomorrow at the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta.
The FAA has reportedly ordered an investigation of air ambulance services after a string of crashes. The latest occurred over the weekend in Arizona, killing 2. An investigation by the CBS News broadcast 60 Minutes reveals that pilot exhaustion may explain some of these accidents, with many pilots flying round the clock.
2 men who broke new ground in the worlds of television and art are being mourned this morning. Producer David Susskind has died in Manhattan, apparently of natural causes, at the age of 66. He was one of television's first talk show hosts whose guests included people from every walk of life. Susskind also won fame for his TV, film, and stage productions, including A Raisin in the Sun and Requiem for a Heavyweight. And artist Andy Warhol, who turned a soup can into a work of art, has died of a heart attack at the age of 58. Richard Roth in New York takes a look at Warhol's remarkable career.
He said this idea came from an art instructor who told him to paint things that were important to him. And as Andy Warhol put it, I'd been eating soup for lunch for 20 years. He became America's high priest of the school of pop, stretching society's idea of what was art. He painted things we use every day and never think about, Warhol once said, and critics called him everything from a charlatan to a visionary.
Well, I think Andy Warhol was the artist who found the most convincing way to make art out of the throwaway images that are around us every day. He showed links between serious culture and throwaway pop culture that nobody had ever made quite that clear before.
Glamour fascinated him, and he cultivated celebrity.
But Andy, I do really thank you for it.
Rubbing elbows with the rich and famous and winning publicity, probably more than any other serious artist of his generation.
Andy's life was pop art. His lifestyle was an art form. And as far as America, when a new Warhol came out, people talked about it and people knew. And that's what's going to be missing, you know. Nothing new coming out anymore.
He made rock music and movies, though no big box office hits.
You've been a very good assistant, and you brought in some good parts. That man was perfect.
I like boring things, he once said. One of his films ran 6 hours and simply showed a man sleeping. He coined the word superstar and painted famous people, icons of an age. He said he wanted to make money and be outrageous. He did, and he was. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
The mood is cotton, the moment your own. Abandon yourself to the feel. So comfortable, easy and calm. Embrace the feeling. Take comfort in cotton.
Find the True Performance label on Hager Prestige All Cotton and Natural Blend slacks for men and women.
Ramada wants to know what makes John Madden mad.
Let's replay what happened the last time he tried to check out of a hotel. A slow desk clerk causes a 3-salesman pileup. Boom! You shift formations. Whap! The computer goes berserk. Then you get penalized 15 minutes for unnecessary charges. But don't get mad. Get Ramada. They do everything possible to make your checkout fast and smooth. So you won't get a delay again. Next time, Ramada.
Call 1-800-2-RAMADA.
Live at the Ingersoll Dinner Theater, the music and lyrics of Stephen Sondheim.
Tonight, won't be just any night. Phone rings, door chimes, in comes company.
Send in the clowns.
The best of Broadway, Stephen Sondheim's Side by Side by Sondheim. Limited engagement at the Ingersoll Dinner Theater.
This Pride in Iowa moment is brought to you by TV8.
Commitment to the education of our children. That's what Iowa has to offer. As director of the Department of Education, I'm proud of Iowa students for their academic success. Over 72% of pupils in kindergarten through grade 8 scored above the national average in basic skills tests last year. Over 72%. I would like to congratulate Iowa students and teachers who take pride in their work and themselves.
This is the TV8 Morning News. Here's Todd Magel.
Good morning. Clear skies and 22 degrees in Des Moines now. One woman is dead, another critically injured following a head-on collision of a pickup and a car in Calhoun County. Sheriff's deputies say 78-year-old Opal Vogt is dead. Leila Miller was flown to a Des Moines hospital. They were both in a car that collided with a pickup near Summers. The driver of the truck, 16-year-old Troy Gustafson, sustained minor injuries. The accident is under investigation. Two men wanted in connection with a Des Moines homicide Saturday are in custody in North Dakota. Border Patrol guards in Grand Forks arrested 21-year-old Wilfredo Luna Gomez, who's wanted on a first-degree murder charge. Jose Moroquin is also being held as a material witness. The two were arrested in connection with the shooting death of a 29-year-old Anthony Coleon. He was found outside his apartment at 702 East 9th Street. The suspects, who apparently tried to flee to Canada, will remain in North Dakota until extradition proceedings can begin. More than 200 people crowded into a meeting room near the Des Moines airport Sunday to question Republican Senator Bob Dole. Topics from the crowd range from Social Security to issues like the health of the farm credit system. Dole says town meetings like this one will become a regular part of his yet unannounced candidacy.
Well, what I've got to do is to just continue to work. I mean, that's why I'm here today. I mean, I have a job as Republican leader in the Senate, so I have to do my work on weekends. And when we have a little vacation, I head for Iowa, New Hampshire, or some other state. I also have a lot of people helping me in Iowa, and that's very important.
Dole will start an exploratory committee in early March to begin drumming up support for his campaign. He says he'll announce his candidacy sometime this fall. Weather is next.
More pecani sauce. This ain't paste pecani sauce.
And you ain't Burt Reynolds.
But paste is made with your fresh vegetables and spices by folks in San Antonio. This stuff is made in New York City.
New York! Darling, we're gonna have to shut you down. Pick up the original, pick up the paste.
Well, it looks as though we might see another nice day of weather today, but that will probably be it. Forecast calls for mostly sunny skies with a high in the mid-40s. Tonight, increasing cloudiness and a low of 30. Then Tuesday, cloudy skies and a 30% chance of rain or snow later in the day, a high in the upper 30s. Currently in Des Moines, clear skies, winds from the southeast at 2 miles per hour. Humidity 88%, barometer 30.12 and rising. Currently in Des Moines, it is 22 degrees. Next, news and weather coming up in about 15 minutes.
We'll be watching these stories as they develop this Monday. The trial of John Demjanjuk continues in Jerusalem, with a death camp survivor today identifying Demjanjuk as Ivan the Terrible, the guard who beat Jews as they entered gas chambers at the Treblinka concentration camp. Security is tight in Paris, where the trial of accused terrorist George Abdala got underway. President Reagan addresses the National Governors Conference today, and economists for some of the nation's biggest corporations issue their forecast for the economy.
You think your life is complicated. This will make you feel better. From Purdue University, a little something to cackle over. It is, in fact, the Strategic Egg Initiative, winner of the Rube Goldberg competition. A remote control releases a racket ball. The ball bounces through a hoop. It hits a marble. The marble starts a truck, which sends ball bearings into a wok rattling around. Now that gets the cereal started, plus, of course, just a little milk. What is it? It's a breakfast machine with juice. And then the big objective. Now, what you have to do is break the egg. It's a new kind of shell game. So what you see here, a blade swings down, knocks off the henberry, and plop, it goes in there. Here's how it works. Kaboom. The contents fall into the bowl, sunny side up. A new day dawns. All very easy.
Touch of John Madden in there.
Somewhere. That is the CBS Morning News. I'm Forrest Sawyer.
And I'm Faith Daniels. You have a great Monday.
arthritis. Yes, you can live with it. With proper exercise, therapy, and medication. With the guidance, care, and education provided by physicians and other professionals at the Arthritis Management Center. We can't cure arthritis. No one can. But we can reduce or eliminate the pain and complications.
For an appointment at our new Tower Medical Clinic, call 271-1700. The University of Osteopathic Medicine and Health Sciences. We're here for your good health.
In Ottumwa, tune to Translator Channel 74 for better reception of TV8.
Welcome and good morning. It's Monday, February 23rd, and it's snowing in New York.